All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first panel of MSK Week. So, this year we will be focusing on prioritizing mental health in the areas of prevention, care, and well being. The virtual panels will feature conversations around the importance of community, growing the mental health workforce, navigating chronic illness, and advocating for reproductive justice. Today, in particular, we're going to be focusing on the MSK Heart Health Program, Sis Protect Your Heart, and how it gave MSK members the opportunity to find a community in lifestyle change. So, for today's panel, we have four special guests here, including myself, who either served as an MSK Heart Health Program coach, participant, or peer support group facilitator. So, we'll start by introducing our panelists. I'll start by introducing myself. I am Eliana. I also go by Ellie. I currently serve as the Outreach and Engagement Coordinator for the BWHI Black Women's Health Imperative Positive Period program. And today I am channeling my former relations with MSK and the MSK Heart Health program. So after 2 years of advocating for health topics under MSK, and developing my leadership skills as the MSK Howard chapter president, I transitioned into being a part of the MSK Heart Health program shortly after graduating from Howard and being given the opportunity to provide feedback on the development of the MSK Heart Health program curriculum, which led to me becoming a lifestyle coach myself. So next on the panel, we have Felicia Nicole Thompson. She received her Master's of Public Health with a concentration in Behavioral and Community Health from the University of Maryland. Her primary academic and research interests include health behavior theory and the connection between spirituality, religion, and she is the wife and mother, as well as a public health specialist providing COVID relief and health resources and services to the homeless population in Montgomery County, Maryland, which is awesome. Through healthcare for the homeless. She is involved in a project committed to addressing spiritual trauma, as well as the founder of Faith Love Health. So we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, and next we have Danielle Andrews. She's a recent graduate of Howard University, HU, where she double majored in sociology and international affairs. Danielle is passionate about social justice and advocating for underserved communities and demographics. And in the fall, she will begin her graduate studies at Columbia University. That's amazing, to pursue a Master of Social Work degree. Danielle is a native of Tampa, Florida, and an avid proponent of ensuring that equitable education is accessible to individuals and underserved communities. Um, so we're so glad to have you. Danielle's actually in my class.
Yes,
So
good to see
it's
you.
good to see you again. Yeah. Um, and then last but first not least, we have Deja Senegal. Um, she is a third grade teacher and a recent graduate from the University of Texas, San Antonio. And she's been a coach now for a year and absolutely loves the program. It hasn't only helped so many young women, but it's also helped her internally to address many of the problems that she's overlooked. And she believes that education is at the center of health and prevention and wants to continue to teach others on how to take care of themselves. So, so glad to have you, David, and I'm excited to have all of you ladies here with us. Um, to get right into it, for those of you who may or may not know, the MSK Heart Health Program is a 9-week program under the Black Women's Health Imperative for MSK general or chapter members between the ages of 18 and 30. And this program is intended to highlight the importance of preventative behaviors to protect against heart disease while providing a safe space where participants can share their past stories and experiences related to their heart health journeys. And the 9 focus sessions of this program include maintaining a heart health, intersectionality, and lived experiences contributing to chronic stress, mental health, relationships, eating well, financial wellness, mind and body balance, good sleeping habits, and staying active, and hormone slash menstrual health, and also self care. So a lot of great topics were being discussed throughout this 9 week program. And rather than just telling you about it and its key focuses, we're fortunate enough today to have these ladies here to actually share their experiences and their feelings through the program and how it's impacted their health journey in real time. So we'll get started with the first question for our panel. And I guess we'll just do it in the style of whoever wants to jump on this question may do so. So the first question I have is, what brought you into the heart health program?
I can start this one. I'll say that for me, we were talking about it in the Howard chapter, like it's something that they were advertising. Plus, we were getting it sent to our emails.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I feel like I'm always looking to learn new things, learn new ways to make my life a little easier, make my life a little better. And so I was like, why not? Why not try it? I have done other things with MSK through my chapter. Ellie mentioned that she was the president, so we did a bunch of things together.
yeah,
So I knew that MSK did good work, and so I figured, why not learn about being a Black woman from other Black women? So
yeah.
that was my reasoning.
And I'm glad you actually, took the opportunities that we got because there's so many
Mm,
resources here through this organization, but it's actually taking the initiative to get involved. That's
exactly.
I know for me, like Ellie, I was the vice president for my chapter at my school, and so like we were doing the same things, like we were advertising it, and I kind of would run most of the meetings, and so I was like, well, this is basically like the same thing that we're already doing. We're meeting over a topic and we're discussing it, and so I was like, well, if there's a way that I can continue doing that, like even after graduating, I want to keep doing it. And now, a year and a half later, we're still working. And it's because I love the program so much. I love what it offers. And like still to this day, like when I'm reading those sessions, even though I've already done it, I'm like, I needed to hear this right now. This is look, that's why it's telling me to go eat because I ain't ate nothing all day.
yeah,
Um, but it's definitely been one of those like the opportunity presented itself, and I would have been a fool to give up on it.
yeah, I agree. My story pretty much relates to both of you guys, of course, because we all had relations with MSK and were introduced by actually being members of the program. And for me in particular, I was most intrigued by actually like I said, kind of being involved in the planning and development process of the curriculum and like having the
Right.
opportunity, seeing how like they were, it was so important to the like the key Suzanne, just the developers of this program to get our feedback and incorporate our suggestions, what we felt was important, and being represented as Black women within this curriculum and the things that would, impact us the most, capture our attention. That to me, like how much work they put into it, I was like, of course I want to be a part of this program, and I was excited.
Absolutely. Um, I just wanted to add, so my experience is slightly different. I went to University of Maryland, and we did not, or we still currently do not have a chapter there. And so when I was an undergrad, I really had never heard of MSK before, but Janae Epps is a childhood friend of mine. I mean, childhood friend of mine. And so I was involved, or I've been involved in doing some workshops around spirituality and health, and then was asked to be a small group facilitator, a peer group facilitator for the Heart Health program. So this is actually my second time doing it. And like you all are saying, I was blown away and amazed with the content and just how the program overall really champions Black women to not only educate ourselves on how we can move forward and really prioritize our own health overall, but specific to heart health. But it really also put us in a position to be there for one another and hold one another accountable. And it was just it's been incredible for me to be able to see women who I consider, younger than me. I'm a mom of two. I'm in my 30s. A lot of, you guys are young ladies in the prime of your life joining us in this program. And I just feel honored to be able to be a part of that conversation. I wish that I had the knowledge and the self-awareness that these women have, or the desire to want to make these incredible lifestyle changes. So it's just been amazing, and an honor to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's powerful. I agree. It's definitely, like you said, really, really focused on like community building and just being a part of a community where you are going through the same things. That was my favorite part of the program in particular, was just being able to relate to my peers and just know that you're not alone. Um, so thank you guys so much for that question. My next question would be, would you say your prior knowledge on heart health was impacted by this program? And was there an emotional impact?
Oh yeah. I'll jump in there. So I have my MPH, and so I like to think that that degree is pretty broad. We kind of cover a broad range of things, particularly chronic illness. So I thought I had a pretty solid understanding of what heart health looked like, what its impact on Black and Brown women was. But it's different when you sit through and you're having conversation about not just 9 distinct categories of things that impact our heart health, right? But how these things interplay. And so I will say, by the time I worked through it, I was able to reflect more so on my own life, on how all of these different facets of who I am, of how society views me, my interactions with others, all of that, how those things together impact where I'm currently at, but also empower me to make the steps and make the changes that I need to move forward. And so I just thought that that was wonderful.
I'll also jump in. For me, there was a lot that I learned, and it made a big like difference. So at Howard, we had to do a bunch of like health courses and stuff, and so of course you learn about your body and different like illnesses, mental, physical, things like that. But I think that hearing about it, like in that intimate setting, and also us being able to discuss it amongst ourselves and discuss maybe the different ways that we've experienced some of the symptoms or some of the like not diseases, but some of the things that we were talking about, to me, it was very like eye opening because, you read about things in textbooks and you're like, oh, well, that's not, I'm young, I'm 21.
Yep.
Like, that's not me. And then next thing you know, you're looking at it and you're like, oh, well, I might be sleep deprived, or I might be, I might need to go eat more consistently. I might need to have a better sleep schedule. So I think that learning about those things and having it be more of a personal, like being able to personalize it to yourself and being able to relate to it through the curriculum and through, like I said, interacting with everyone else during our sessions and with the peer review sessions was very, very very life changing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna piggyback what off they said, but basically it was like, some things you had already heard, like some things your doctor tells you, but they don't go into detail as to why it would affect you specifically. Just like, hey, you need to make sure that you're eating healthy, losing weight, doing X, Y, and Z, but not, okay, I'm a Black woman, I'm a Black person, and on top of that, I'm a Black woman. How those things play into my health as well, but not just my physical health, my mental health. Like every time I go through the PowerPoints again, it's like I'm learning something new, something that like I didn't know before. Because it's like, we know that at the end of the day, like Black women are kind of like placed disproportionately when it comes to everything. But like to see the stats like kind of put in front of you, like this is what's affecting us now. And even friends that are 20, 21 that are dealing with heart palpitations and they're all stressed out, they're not sleeping.
Yeah.
All in my age group, it's like, wow, like it was honestly for me, it was a wake up call. Like I need to take myself more seriously because at the end of the day, like if I don't, nobody else will. And this is the first program that like I've worked with that actually cared and put that intention on making sure that they educated every single person that they could on every single aspect that they could.
Yeah.
If I could say one more thing, I also really appreciate the way that they touch on everything, even the little things. Because I was just in a session with Deja like a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about stress. And even though we've talked about it before, like being in school, you're always running on fumes. Like you're always stressed, always running on fumes, but you don't realize how that affects your body and your mental health. But as we were talking about it, it's like, well, eating irregularly, doing different things. And I was kind of like, I I didn't realize stress would do all this to you. Like it's kind of crazy. So yeah, like especially as Black women, like being able to go through and pick out things that are impacting us. Some things like are, systemic and even intergenerational sometimes, but just being able to really pinpoint those things and talk about it has been very, very good.
And not just too that, like, I think the other piece that I saw that was incredibly helpful was that people felt comfortable enough to say, like, these were my goals for the week and I fell short here.
Yeah.
That's incredibly important. Like, behavior change that is not a linear process. You ebb and flow, you take a step forward, you take a couple steps back. It is a process, and it's something that we're going to be revisiting ongoing. And so I just really appreciated that people didn't feel like they had to come in there and mask themselves and like present themselves to have it all together, because that really would not have benefited the participant, and it wouldn't have benefited me as a facilitator. I'm sure it wouldn't have benefited the coach or the other participants. We really were able to be truthful around what we were struggling with, and then have some kind of clarity and understanding through conversation with others around, like, wow, I never thought about the fact that, like, I'm the oldest daughter and I'm responsible for like every and anybody in my family. And that can be a source of stress. I never understood that could be a source of stress, but talking to such and such and such and such, they're also experiencing something similar to that. And it's validating. And so I just feel like that was really, I saw that happen, and I'm seeing that happen now on a week to week basis. And it's really like, that's important as well.
Yes. Y'all touched on a lot of things. It, like you said, just felt so raw, so real. Like everything was attainable, achievable. All the advice that we were given, just they were really, really pushing habits, and not only telling us like what we need to consider, what we need to be aware of, but how we can take just little steps in everyday lives, and actually giving us like sheets in their participant guides, so like that we can like write down and see how we can make these steps. And say, like you said, everything is a process. It's you're taking, you might take 2 steps forward, but the next day 1 step back. But like it made you feel seen, because like it's okay. Like you're working through it each week with a community of people that just relate to it.
Absolutely.
But in terms of the questions, to answer the question, and was my impression on heart health impacted by the program, I would have to say, like you all said, it's just I had a science background revolving around heart health, and like we talked about cardiovascular disease, heart disease, the difference between each of the conditions, but it's more like you guys said, it's just there's so many different factors that play into it, and I would say it was just a 9-week process of just like or course of new revelations, like things that like wow, like you guys said, this is contributing to this. I mean, we even talked about, we got as deep into like our hormone levels and the different, like specifically like when your hormone levels are raised and when they're low, and what that can impact, like just so specific, like okay, we're not crazy, like we are vulnerable to these things, and there's a reason. And now it's time to address them and just work on ourselves together. And I just love that this program has really done a great job in providing a platform for that. But thank you guys so much. Your answers are so rich. To tell already that like you guys took great advantage of this program. But my next question, we kind of like dove into this a little bit, but um, just a little more on how the program has impacted your lifestyle and your mental health and just your everyday habits moving forward.
I can start. I can say that for me, I've definitely learned to be a lot more intentional with things like sleep schedule, regulating what I eat, taking time to think and like process emotions instead of just like acting on it, or like we were talking about like emotional eating, or like
Mm-hmm.
shutting down, things like that. So I've been more aware of those things. And so I've been paying attention to be sure that I'm not falling into those bad habits. Also, I will say I started therapy because of this program. Like,
Good.
not consider it at all before, but like after going through it with Ellie, I definitely started therapy. We actually finished like a week ago, but I went through it and it was a very helpful process. So yeah, this program like made me decide like, okay, girl, you need to look into therapy, because this once a week is like good, but like you need to have time one-on-one with somebody who
Yeah.
knows, who you can like talk about these things with, who can help
Mhm.
you reinforce what you're learning in the program. So, yes.
Yeah.
I know for me personally, it allowed me, like Danielle said, but just like being more aware. But it also allowed me to hold myself accountable for
Mhm.
like noticing that like I'm straining myself too much and that
Yeah.
I need to slow down. Cause like I talk about this with Danielle a lot in our meetings. I'll talk really, really fast, and it's because I'm really passionate about something.
Yeah.
But it's like even those little things, just slowing down and allowing myself to be in the moment, which was something like, even though I've already done the program, that I had to go back and redo
Right.
the lessons and remind myself, hey, it's okay. It's going to be okay, even if you don't get this done on whatever time that you need. And
Mhm.
just allowing myself grace.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of times, for some reason, or I think just in general, like people hold themselves up to a standard that they're themselves, like they can't achieve. And so this program has reminded me, like, hey, you have other things to worry about than to try to become the person that you think people want you to be.
Absolutely. That part.
And it was a big like shocker for me, because even in the peer sessions, like Danielle heard me, like I was going through it. Like I've been real stressed, and that last week was the first week in like 4 months that I took a mental health day. And I
Wow.
just said no. Like I didn't feel bad. I
Yeah.
didn't feel guilty. I turned the phone off. I turned the class dojo off so the parents
Yep.
couldn't text me either.
Yep.
And it was like the first day. I didn't even sleep all day. I wasn't in the mood to sleep. Like I got up, I
Mhm.
cleaned, I walked my dog. It was like the first day in months that I felt okay. And it
Yeah.
was finally like all those lessons I've been giving out and I've been telling these people, I have to take accountable of what I'm
That
doing.
part.
It doesn't help me telling them to do something and I'm not taking for myself. So it sure did like make me like sit myself down and do what I had to do. And like Danielle said, I am again working, trying to get back in therapy, because before this program, I was like, I'll be fine. I don't need it.
Mhm.
Going through it and pointing out every single week what I wasn't doing,
Yep.
maybe I should get into some therapy.
Yeah. I mean, I think this program is every bit as much for the participants as it is for the coaches and the facilitators. I mean, I have struggled a lot with my mental health over the past, I would say, 6 years. My oldest daughter is 4.5. I had postpartum depression that I didn't know I had, or that I like tried to push through because, oldest daughter syndrome over here, try to be perfect, try to do everything without asking for help. And then along comes this program. And it's like, I know that these are the correct things to do. I know that stress can manifest its way in these ways physically, because I've had symptoms, stomach discomfort, etc., you name it. I've been unable to sleep. My appetite's been impacted. And I'm sitting here and I'm talking to women and I'm encouraging them to take care of themselves. And like you guys said, it's like a mirror up to yourself. Well, if I want this for other people and I want them to trust me, I have to be honest with myself. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be perfect at this self-care game and this healthy eating situation, because I'm not. I fall short all the time, but I try. And during those 9 weeks, I showed up and I tried. People were telling me about their action plans. I was setting goals for myself, and trying to hold myself to those as well. And then we would share in those experiences of this was successful, this wasn't. What do y'all think we could do like differently next week to make it easier to achieve these goals? And so I think my mental health really improved because I had something that was kind of helping me to hold myself accountable, but also showing me like that, like y'all said, I'm not crazy. It's not just me. Life is hard. There's a lot of expectations, but still, I deserve to have peace. I deserve to have time for myself. I deserve to have a moment to breathe and not be responsive to nobody else. I deserve to not be taken advantage of by my job, by my family, by society, etc. All of those things. And so I really feel like this program helped to reinforce that for myself and pushed me to kind of expect that for myself as much as I was expecting it for the participants. Looks like I think Ellie might be frozen. So
I want to say, Felicia,
yeah,
I like what you were saying about like, you know, eldest daughter, Black women, Deja, you mentioned that. I really think that this program shows the ways that all of our like identities can intersect and
oh my gosh,
differently impacted by the things that we were talking about. Because as an oldest daughter, first gen, like parents are from the Caribbean, like it was like you put a lot of pressure on yourself, but society is also putting pressure on you. I was talking to someone about how like Black women are expected to like just hold everything together, right? And like even if
like be the glue, man. That's it.
Like I could be over here falling apart, but like you shouldn't know that is basically how it's been portrayed. But I think that with this program, like, and I've said it before, but like us being able to talk to each other unfiltered, like no one's putting up like a mask, like, oh, I got it all together. Like we can just come in and let our guard be down and be open and honest. That has been very, very helpful for me personally, because sometimes it's like, well, who do I really like talk to? Because everyone's kind of like, you know, no one wants to be that person who's like oversharing or like, you know,
it's not safe to be that emotive Black person, Black woman, or Black appearing woman appearing person in America. We don't get to have you know, freely emote around in every space. We got to do that though. We can do that with each other. We should be able to do that with each other, and we deserve that space, and we deserve to figure out how to navigate and recharge so we can go back out there and face what we know is the reality, what we know to be true. But we deserve to have the community to fall back on and be able to come back to and be honest and be open. Like, this is hard. This don't feel good. I don't want to show up for everybody. I want to fall apart today. I want to binge eat my Haagen-Dazs, the whole pint. You know what I'm saying?
Get some ice cream after this.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to do all of those things on a stressful day sometimes. And then I want to be able to come to my community of sisters to be like, you know what, girl, I feel you. That was me last week. And I'm gonna let you have your little pint today, but tomorrow we're gonna dust ourselves off and we're gonna figure it out, because we're not gonna no, this is hard, but you have a community behind you and you have the resources within yourself to carve out the life that you want.
Exactly.
Even if it's just that you have to carve it out for yourself and at home, you got to carve it out for yourself in a separate little bubble. We deserve that. And so I really appreciated that, that we had that here, or that we have the opportunity to do that with each other here.
Right. And even starting with little things like just saying no sometimes, like Deja said, taking that day where you just like, don't call me, get somebody else to do it. Like, just having those days, having that time for yourself.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie. So I've been doing this. This will be my second year in the cohort. And so this is like a second job on top of everything you're dealing with. And then I got a second job. So I definitely would say, like, being in the program not only helped me, it didn't contribute to my stress, but it also made me realize, hey, sometimes you have to say no.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to remember, or not remember, you have to think 5 steps ahead. Like, hey, you may want to do this program now, but school's going to start next year, or your semester's going to start next year. And are you ready to be doing this every week then next year? And so, like, for me, like, I think my biggest challenge is I beat myself up a lot.
Yeah.
And I felt like I wasn't on the meeting long enough, or, you know, I think my first year, the first year doing it, I had only one person that came consistently. But she came to everything, every single meeting, she was there. And so, you know, when we would get in these meetings and we would have these great talks, and I'd be like, yes, amazing, but it's only one person. I had to
Yeah.
allow myself to be like, even though
And
it's
that's
only one
fine.
person, I'm still helping somebody. That's
Yep.
what's the great part about being the MSK and like having the community. It don't matter the size of the community. Even if I'm just talking to one person, like that's what we needed in that moment. And now both of us are back in the program again because of the community that we crave. So yeah, I think that was my favorite part about this program in general was the community.
Absolutely.
Very much.
Absolutely.
Sorry about that, guys. Let's check it out.
No worries.
For you guys, just discussing like the favorite part of the program. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So for me, I would definitely have to say, like we mentioned earlier, just being able to learn about so many different things that we never would have considered impact our health before, and just being able to relate that to our social group and our community specifically, because I feel like as Black women, we're always expected to kind of just be really strong. It's a cultural thing. Like even in my household, like I kind of have to like I take some of these things that I learned from my peers, this generation, these programs that I'm involved in with the Black Women's Health Imperative, and I like have to like coach my mom into some things like like you have to also prioritize your mental health. Like I know that it's sometimes you feel like you always have to be on because we're always playing catch up because we are disadvantaged in so many ways systematically. Like, we have to take a step back because none of that's going to matter if like we can't control our mental. That's killing us as well, and not just our mental, but like our overall health. So like having that holistic awareness that this program brought, even like just talking about things like financial wellness.
Oh my God.
Yes, like a conversation that needs to be had that we don't talk about in our curriculum. And for whatever reason, like it's we don't talk about it, but it's so important.
It's so important. And it's like everybody gets stressed out about money.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's a universal experience, unless y'all all know some 1%ers that I don't know. And if so, can we network? You know what I mean? But the average person, like, money is not a fun thing unless you got it.
And you need it for survival. Like,
you need it for survival. Like not just to do the nice things you want to do, but like the bare minimum. And then God forbid you want to try to be healthy.
Exactly.
Right.
That was my next point.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of that is so true. But so I'm sure you gave so much advice. Spoken to our audience and just how this program has provided us a supportive and inclusive environment. But how do you guys think that just like as a community as a whole of Black women, like, things that we can do and ways that we can try to achieve having a more supportive and inclusive environment for like young women who are balancing their work-life balance, maintaining a healthy lifestyle?
I think the reality is like I would love for there to be so many programs, or for this program to have the capacity to like be made available to every single person who wants it. And I'm sure that's like the goal, right? But what I think is really beneficial and useful is that we all, as participants, as coaches, as facilitators, we've experienced it. We know we know what it can look like. And so I think you as one person can create community for somebody else. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't, it's you and one other person. It's a small community, but you and one other person, that's a little mini community. And I think, so I think the way that we branch out and the way that we make this broader is that you treat the Black women you come into contact with, you treat them like your sister. And I mean, we don't have to like every single person. I'm also not saying we all need to be best friends.
I love that.
I'm saying, though, we all have a shared experience. And at minimum, like, I can make you feel safe. I can make you feel valid in your experience as a Black woman because I see you. And my experience may be slightly different. We can talk about all those nuances. I know, I realize what I look like. I understand. So I get that there is complexity in the Black woman experience. And I'm not here to talk about all of those things, but I'm here to be an extension. I'm here to be a member of this community with you. And I'm willing to be a safe space for you and for anybody else who wants it. And I think that's a simple thing. I think back to my undergrad experience and just conversation on the way to class. Having somebody identify, like, girl, you came in the door looking a little like you don't look as happy today as you did yesterday. You good? Anything you want to talk about? Like, you want to go get something to eat after class? Like, those are small gestures that move mountains in terms of making people feel like they have community and connection. So I think we all have the ability to create that for other people well beyond this program. But also, you know, if you don't have an MSK chapter, start one. Next time this program is up, sign up, you know, those types of things. But I think it's very easy for us to go out and kind of bridge that and branch out and create that for other people and ourselves.
Yeah. I'll say also, I think that being intentional, kind of like what Felicia was saying, but being intentional about how you're interacting with other people and also in how you're taking care of yourself, because it's hard to give to others when you have nothing left to give. So making sure that you're taking care of yourself as much as you can, you know, as it doesn't have to look like everyone else. Like, I feel like a lot of things are becoming aesthetics. And I think that instead of focusing on what it looks like, focus on how it is effective for you. Like, self-care looks different for everyone. So being sure that you're intentional in that so that you can in turn be intentional with how you interact with others. I think that as Black women, we all are looking for that community because, like we discussed earlier, it's hard to find that community, the people who get it. Like, you don't have to do too much explaining. You don't have to do too much background. Like, I see you and you see me. So I think that being intentional in creating those spaces, like Felicia said, we don't have to like each other. We don't have to see each other all the time, but just, you know, that I'm here and I see you and I support you however I can, I think is very important, especially when you're not in places that are like, I'm going from Howard to Columbia. Columbia is going to look very different from Howard. So I recognize that I'm going to have to be a lot more intentional in seeking out that community that I want to have. So, yeah.
And I think you mentioned this a couple of times, like pouring from an empty cup. I have 2 kids now, and I did not prioritize my mental health before having kids. And I kind of, if I'm being honest, I don't think that I really felt like I had enough value to really prioritize that for myself at the time. But I have kids now, right? So I am like, I can't show up for them how I want to if I don't take care of myself. And so if there's people, and this may not be like the best way to go about it, but at least for me, it was helpful to frame my thought around self-care, around the fact that this is necessary so I can show up for the people that I care about and for the people that I want to show up for every day. I cannot do that for them if I don't prioritize myself. That is not a bad thing. I deserve to be selfish. I have to be. I have to pour into myself. And I think as Black women, we do not feel like we deserve to pour into ourselves. Society don't tell us that. Our family don't tell us that. Like, nothing around us is telling us that it's okay to do that, but we have to. Like, we are called upon more than any other group. For everything. We champion every cause. You down and out in the US, you down and out, and globally, Black women got your back. Always. Right? Like, as much as our parents get on our nerves, are they going to be out on the street? No. Why? Because we going to take care of them.
We'll make it happen.
Siblings, cousins, etc. That is what we do. And I love that for us because it also adds to the beautiful complexity that makes us the amazing forces of nature that we are. But that means we deserve and we need and we require like soft girl era, like luxury, like that is not that's a require. I require self-care. I require to recharge. I require to do these things so that I can show up and fulfill all of the roles and responsibilities that I have to. And so I think that is just really, really so important for us to remember. Do not feel guilty about that. And it looks different for every person, but that is paramount. Figure out how to do that. You figure out how to do that for yourself in your 20s, you're going to be good. Figure it out. You deserve that for yourself.
I just want to, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add on something that I emphasize to my group a lot. People were not meant to exist alone. We literally struggle apart and fade away because we are not meant to be alone. We don't know how to function alone. And so like finding that community that gets you, that fits you. Cause I was definitely one of those Black girls that didn't fit in with the other Black girls at the school. And so I always felt like, well, am I not Black enough? Like I fit the color match, like what's going on? And it was just realizing that, community is everywhere. And regardless, like it's going to be hard, but you're going to find your little niche, your little group of people that you're going to fit with. And it may take years. Like I didn't get real friends until I joined my sorority. And that was a year ago. Like that's 20 years, no friends, no real friends, no real community, no real group of people around me until I finally found one that fit me. And then on top of that, I am a lesbian woman that didn't judge me for who I was.
Right.
So not only do you find community, you have to make sure that your community matches your values, your goals, your morals, all of that. Because at the end of the day, these are the people that are going to pour into you and that you are going to pour into. So if they're putting negative energy and things that you don't believe in, that's probably not an area that you need, not a space that you need to be in. Find the space that fits you, and it's going to change. It might change. You may hang out with one group of people for so long, but people are like seasons. Once their season is up, it's time to move on, and you'll find someone else, and that void will be filled again. But just continue searching for that, continue looking for that, because you will find it. No one is meant to be alone ever.
Great points on both ends. It kind of posed the question for me. Just wondering, because it's like, we talk about on one end, like wanting to be all inclusive in our community, and as Black women, and kind of like just building ourselves up and acknowledging and emphasizing like all the positive aspects of just like who we are and how we're always, the ones supporting and like acting as the backbone for our community as a whole. Then on the other hand, like you said, like we're also in a culture where there are so many different people who may or may not have the same interests or may not be into us in the most positive way. So with those two kind of like opposing sides, you guys feel like we as of now live in a community where it's like hard to find the in between. Like do you guys feel like there's a lot of competition within our community, and it's hard to find, like, not, be inclusive, but find somebody who also aligns with us and is in the place where we need to be mentally? Like, how can we do both, like, give and take at the same time? What do you guys think about that?
That one's a little hard one.
But yeah, good question.
I think kind of just going back to what I said, like realizing that like people are going to be in your life, like certain people are going to be in your life, whether you want them to or not. So just understanding how much you allow them to be a part of your inner circle and your group. This may be someone that you get along with, but there are things that they do or things that, they believe in that you don't. And that's okay. That you are going to be with people that y'all don't have the same interests. You don't have the same, beliefs or anything. And you're going to have to get along with them because, unfortunately, say y'all work at the same building, you got to see them every day.
That's life.
And you're not going to avoid them because why am I going to treat this person wrong because they believe something different than me?
Right.
Yeah.
We have no right to judge. So at the end of the day, it's just understanding and being that open-minded person that even though somebody else may be different than me, that doesn't make me any better than them. We're still on the same level. I'm still going to keep being me no matter what. And those people that are meant to be around me, I'm going to naturally attract them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll chime in and say that I feel like that's kind of like the point of programs like this. And I feel like it plays a role in kind of filling that gap because the point of it all is to continue educating people. Like I feel like when people kind of like clash and their mentality, it's because of, a lot of times there's a lack of open-mindedness and just understanding us. And like we came together in this program, and then we had the revelation that like, wow, we're going through a lot of the same things. And sometimes like when we see social media, we're comparing ourselves to different people. We get caught up in this like competitive nature where we feel like we have to keep up with everybody instead of having these conversations. Like we are in this together, and like Felicia said, like we do such a great job of building people up. That's what we do as women. So we really have to embrace that, and we have to focus, like draw it back a little and focus more on ourselves and each other, and bring it to us as Black women, our people.
Yeah. I think it's really comes down to like just really basic rules for how we should govern ourselves. And I know this, and it sounds really redundant, but I'm teaching a small human being on how to not be a little jackass. Could I say jackass? But trying to teach a small human not to be horrible, right? And teaching her like how to think beyond herself and like how to treat people with kindness. And so I think the same applies to each other. I don't want there to be competition between me and another person. Number one, I'm in competition with myself, so you're going to be wasting your time over there trying to compete with me anyway, because I'm not concerned about none of that. But I don't want to be competing with you. I feel like we benefit a lot more if we help to elevate one another. So cattiness in another time, in another life, I was here for the drama. I was here for the smoke. I'm not no more. I don't have energy for that. So I'm coming at you with all of the kindness and the grace that honestly I feel like people deserve. And that's not dependent upon like your mood that day, right? Because I have been in crappy moods where I've cut people off on the road and I have not been the most nice, and you don't know what people are dealing with. So I just feel like if we go out our way to create the community we wish we had and try to be put out that positivity. Now, that does not mean somebody is not going to necessarily step out of line. You may have to check somebody. I get it. Life is life. But I just feel like we have a lot more control over our interactions with other people than we like to give ourselves credit for. It's because you're not going to be able to fight if I'm not coming with that energy. You can't fight by yourself. So that would be my advice. I just think give out what it is that you hope to receive, especially to each other. We know how hard it is because this program is definitely a testament to how similar a lot of our experiences are. And so give each other some grace,
Yeah.
That's what I teach my third graders. I work in a district where a lot of these kids are dealing with some type of trauma. One parent is in jail or a parent is out there walking the streets, and you can see them during recess walking the streets. And I teach my kids all the time, you never know what somebody is dealing with. And y'all may have gone through the same thing, but you don't know how that affected them.
Right.
Just because, because they argue all the time. Well, my mom's in jail too. Well, okay, now both your mom's in jail, but he hasn't seen his mom since he was born. And you see yours every other week.
Yeah.
You never know what someone is going through, and you never know, just because you might be going through the same thing, it may affect them differently, or it may have happened a long time ago and it's still having an effect on them. Like this world, I think one of the biggest problems in this world is that it lacks empathy, and especially with social media. Like even to this day, I don't understand why me being 22 years old, I'm going on my social media and still seeing high school fights.
Yeah.
Fighting in the high schools. I'm like, And it'll be over little things. Like, it's learning that this is not going to affect me in the future.
Yeah.
I'm either going to continue being the good person that I am, continue moving on my path of healing, or bring this person down with me.
Yep.
It's making that decision, like you said, I can't control what everybody else does. Half the time, I can't even control what I do sometimes. All I can do is try and focus on how I can make better decisions and how that's going to affect me and the people around me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Close that conversation out. My next question for you guys would just be, from here on, do you guys have any specific health goals that you would like to kind of start working towards outside of what you were able to take away from the heart health program that we talked about? It's just every day is a work in progress, and there's just so much in our lives that we have to like kind of consider and correct and just make sure we're focusing on our holistic health. We're going to keep taking it one day, one step at a time. Is there like any goals down the line, once you're done focusing on just some of the things that we are working on now in our goal setting that you would like to focus on in the future?
I'll say that for me, I would like to get a more regulated sleep schedule. I feel like that would be very beneficial to me. I also want to develop a hobby that I can just do recreatively, like something that I don't know, like I can just do so that I'm not always, forcing myself to be on go, like something that I can, when I pull back, when I decide to pull back, when I decide, okay, I'm going to take some time for myself, something that I can do that will, it doesn't even necessarily have to be super enriching or have this grand purpose, something that I enjoy to do and something that makes me happy. So I think those are two goals that I have as of right now. And I'm sure more will come, but those are my top two.
That's awesome.
I know my personal goals is to get my anxiety under check. I talked about them a lot during the peer session. New job, new career, one that I did not go to school for. So
yeah,
a lot of times I feel very, very, very lost. But just learning how to give myself grace. And then on top of that, like managing my anxiety, but being consistent with it, because I'm one of those people, I'll do the therapy and I'm going real good. And all it takes are, hey, we got to reschedule. And then I never come back.
Yeah.
So just being consistent and intentional about the choices that I make.
Yeah. I was going to say for me, it's been trying to have a consistent fitness routine. I was very much anti all things gym related, running. No, I'm not trying to do none of that at all. But I have a chronic back injury. And so I've been having to do physical therapy for my back and have been working out, and it makes me feel great. It makes me feel strong. It makes me feel connected to my body. And so I'm just really looking forward to continuing to incorporate just fitness into my normal life, and nothing crazy. I'm not trying to be out here bodybuilding or anything, but just having my body feel strong. Having 2 pregnancies, and if any of you are moms or if you guys choose to carry children one day, like it's a lot, but it's beautiful, and our bodies are capable of so much. And so in this season of my life, I'm just really trying to honor my mental, but also like my physical body. I feel like I've spent a lot of time like not honoring my physical body, and like this is the one body that I have, and I'm not gonna have it forever, but while I have it, I want to nurture it, and I want to set the example to my kids that they deserve to nurture their bodies, whatever that looks like. So that's one of my big goals.
Mine kind of is similar in just wanting to focus more on like preserving my physical body, but particularly with how I eat. I lately, especially since the heart health program, have been more aware of like what I eat. We talked about like specifically in the focus and in the focus topic of nutrition that it's important to at least just look at kind of like trying to maybe lower like your cholesterol, looking at for ingredients that like alternative ingredients is something that I've like started to be more cognitive of. Because before I would just do whatever, but now I'm like, at least I'm not going out to eat. I'm cooking at home. It might not be the most healthy meal that I could be eating right now, but it's better than the alternative. So I think my long-term goal with that would really just be like being consistent with it, and especially when I start, like I want to start like actually doing research on like what foods contribute to like different parts of my body, or like how I can use food to work on holistic and like preventative care, in terms of like disease, even like now that I'm working on the program Positive Period. I'm also, that's something that I'm going to start looking heavily into, is just like what foods and things that we can consume that would contribute to like cramping or symptoms with periods. There's so many different like preventative measures that we can take by just like what we're putting into our bodies, and I think that that's something that I've like kind of just brushed aside most of my life, mainly because I'm not like the biggest cooker. But like that's something that I want to take control over, especially like within the next few years when I get my own place and I cook for myself every night. Like, I really want to know what I'm eating and consistently build these habits. So yeah, it's lifelong. But with that, I have like two more questions before we wrap it up, and we'll try to just answer these questions super quick, nothing like extensive, but just like how are we talked about like our future goals, but how would you guys say that you guys are protecting your hearts now, like navigating through the program?
I'm setting boundaries and saying no.
Yes. I think keeping an open mind and also being very intentional in how I go about my day and in how I'm interacting with others at work, personally, things like that. Those have been very helpful to me. And like Deja said, creating boundaries to protect my heart.
Yeah, I am giving myself grace. I'm loving on myself. And like you all are saying, I'm exercising that no word really hard.
Like I just said before, with our long-term goals, I definitely say I'm trying to work on like eliminating my anxiety, or just by taking time to myself to like meditate, read the Bible, focus on my food every day. Like that's something that I'm making consistently. But like, and then if I mess up, there's always tomorrow. Just keep pushing forward. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Our last question for you guys is just going to be like, what was your favorite heart health topic?
Yeah. Oh, mine was the relationships workshop. Not because of necessarily for myself. I thought this was going to be like one of the ones that was just going to be like, oh, we have to talk about relationships, people, da, da, da. But I was overwhelmed with just the shared experience with so many participants around the idea that we are, there's a lot required of us by people in our families, by people in our lives, like that we care for, that we love, that we don't want to say no to, right? Like that we understand why we're filling the gaps that we're filling. But it was just very interesting to have these conversations with people around like, I help my mom take care of my grandma. And like, that's not something I could say no to, right? Maybe not altogether, but then having conversations around, well, what are some boundaries you can set? And like, what's your plan to pour into yourself while you're in this phase or this season of life where this is your reality and you have to give of yourself here? So what are some things that you can do? So it just was a very, it was an awesome topic that I think we underestimate the positive impact of relationships. But also like there's a lot of negative and trauma that can come with expectations around relationships. We think a lot just around romantic relationships and red flags around like our romantic partner and sexual partners, but like the same goes for our friends, the same goes for our family members. And so it was very eye-opening, I think, for me and for the participants to just share in an experience of like, this is what it looks like to navigate these relationships. It's okay to exercise some boundaries. You have to even. to protect yourself and to protect that relationship, keep that relationship intact also. So yeah, it was the most surprising session, but favorite of mine.
Yes. I'll say that the stress session was definitely my favorite one. Like I said before, I feel like because I'm young, I don't always think that those things are affecting me. But I think that as we were going through it and talking about it, it became very apparent, like, yes, it is affecting you. But also just looking at what we were learning about stress and even connecting it to people in my family, like my parents or like grandparents, and seeing how, okay, so like long-term stress could have affected them this way. And so it kind of helped me to be more mindful of them, because I think sometimes we can be hard on them because, there's a lot on us. So it's easy for us to expect a lot from them. But I think that session particularly helped me to not show, but be more able to extend grace to them, because they've been stressed a lot longer than I have. And they're a lot more stressed than I am currently. So just kind of becoming more aware of that, and kind of sharing the information that I've been learning in the program with them, so that they can in turn, make better decisions for themselves or decide they want to look into these things some more. So for me, that was definitely my favorite.
That's awesome.
Mine was actually the relationships, like Felicia said, but it was more of just like the relationship with myself. How I talk to myself, how I treat myself, my love language for myself. There's things there are things that other people can do for me, but there's certain stuff that only I can do for myself.
Yes.
And it's only going to matter if I do it. So really taking that time, like she said, to love on myself, love on me, honor the body that I'm in right now. That's mostly what I took. Not everybody else. But relationship with me, that was like the biggest one for me, because it was like that struggle between I need to be this, or I'm putting all these expectations on myself, or I'm putting expectations on the people around me, and it's not making me feel good because they're not doing what I need them to do. Right. But if you don't even know how you want to be loved and need to be loved, or what you're lacking and what you need, how do you expect for somebody else in your life, whether that be a friend, your sister, your mom, cousin, aunt, boss, or anybody, to be able to give that to you and understand how you're feeling and where you are? So.
Right.
Absolutely. That's so awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. I would also have to say the relationship, and I know that's a pretty popular one here. But I just, for my class in particular, enjoyed the conversation that we had. Danielle, it resonated with me because it was just like, again, I use this word, a revelation for us all to kind of like consider that there are so many other factors that play into relationships. And just like we had a kind of dove deep into the conversation on like our friendships, just like how our friendships and like having toxic friendships, having healthy friendships, like how we've been able to like navigate that in our throughout our lives, and like the impact that has on like your emotional and your mental well-being, and just like talking about that and seeing how important it is to make sure that you are not only like pouring, but being poured into. And
absolutely
talked about. So that was the biggest thing. Like I just really enjoyed that conversation in my class, and that's why that was my favorite session. But really, of course, all the sessions come together so well, and that's what like
absolutely
we appreciate so much about this program, is that like everything plays a role. So many different things that we didn't even that we just didn't pay tribute to before. It's just like we have to consider every little thing that can ultimately impact our, like just our health in the future. Things that we could prevent chronic disease, and that's why the focus of this program is heart health, because this is that like we were introduced to the facts in the introduction session, is that like there are so many statistics that like show how vulnerable our community is in particular.
Absolutely.
That are just outstanding. So it's important to have these conversations. Thank you, ladies, so much for not only like taking on the opportunity of just joining the Heart Health program, the MSK Heart Health program, but also like just pouring so much into it and really taking advantage of its information, spreading it, just internalizing everything because, like we always say, the resources are there. People just have to take them, and you guys are doing such a great job in taking advantage of it and just helping to build our community bit by bit. So yeah, just wanna thank you guys. I don't know if you guys have any like closing remarks or advice that you want to give the audience before we start to wrap it up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for having us, but also just remember that like change is attainable. Change is hard. It takes time.
Yeah.
If you want to make a lifestyle change, I mean, any lifestyle change that you decide for yourself is attainable. It might take some time, it might take some resources, but
Yes.
you got it and you deserve it. Yeah, just you deserve everything that you need to have a full life and to have the best possible health outcomes that you deserve, whatever that looks like for you. So, like, you deserve it.
I would just like to add that your coaches, your therapists, your doctors, all the people that play a big role in taking care of your health and making sure you're on good, they're going through it too. So nobody's perfect. Everybody is experiencing life. Now, whether they're experiencing the same or not, that's on them. Everybody has their own experience. Like, don't be ashamed of your experience. Give yourself grace. A lot of times, like what's happening in your life, is out of your control. So it is okay. And it is okay to ask for help.
Yes. I just wanted to echo Felicia and Deja and say, take it one day at a time. Like we're all a work in progress. Life is a journey. And we're all, this is all our first time doing it. Everyone's learning day by day. So, give yourself some grace and take advantage of the resources that are out there because there are resources and there are people who will, be there for you and help you. So take advantage of everything that's available.
And we are so grateful that you guys actually were able to come and give real life examples of what taking advantage of those resources look like. But that is all that we have for now, the questions that I have for you all. And thank you so much for your closing remarks and advice. I want to give each of you a huge thank you for joining us and giving us your time and just being a part of this program and all the work that we're trying to do as a community. I want to thank our audience for tuning in and watching. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. for our Sis We Got You panel featuring insights from mental health professionals. Just continue tuning in each day of MSK because we're talking about great things as you can see. But yes, thank you guys so much. And be sure to follow the BWHI and National MSK page on Instagram so you can learn more about just the opportunities and the resources that we have available for you guys on how to stay connected in all things involving healthy lifestyle and just that surround the Black female community. Thank you guys.